Setup wizard. What's nice about this is on the monitor, on our Everly monitor, but also on all of our monitors, we have a setup wizard. So what that does is it will actually set everything up. And I'm going to do that right now with the key. That would have been a perfect, where's that key? I'm going to get rid of all these. So close all. Yes. So if you got a new installation and you want to come in here, you just hit your setup wizard, you come here, and it's going to ask you general questions. This is, of course, telling you our software version, stuff like that. The next one is what we legally have to tell you, that you have to check your, so here, we're going to say this is a basic 8-phase intersection, right? So I'm going to get rid of all of these because we're not going to have these channels. We're going to go ahead and say that we have 1 through 8 is our north, south, east, west through movements. We're going to leave our PEDs on 9, 10, and 11, and 12. So we're not going to be having any overlaps on 13 through 16. Hit next. Here, if we want to do flashing yellow arrows, it's pretty much pull down the menu. You tell it where your red, yellow, flashing yellow is and where you have your protected, and you go through there. We're not going to do that because we're not going to make a protected or flashing yellow arrow at this time. But that's how simple it is to set it up. You hit next. Here it asks you, do you monitor your don't walks? In this case, I will say yes. I'm going to tell it where it's at. Go next. Do we have any dog houses or protected permissive movements, i.e. a left turn movement with no red? So in case, if you have one of those, you would go ahead and click it here to tell it that. But in our case, we're going to go ahead and say that it is a protected movement for, well, let's do this. I'm going to have 1 and 5. They're going to be protected permissive. Everything else is going to be protected. I hit next. It says you're done. Woo! And then it comes back and says, okay, I set everything like dual indication, all the other stuff. The only thing you got to check is your protective and your permissives, or your conflicts and your permissives. And then the dark here channel, we'll talk about that. And so as simple as that, you've just programmed an 8-phase intersection that phase 1 and 5 has a doghouse. The reason why I'm pointing this out is it shows you that we're using all 12 channels. Here you can put your IP and all that. Here you can set up your minimum flash to whatever you want. I usually set that to 12 because the controllers take a little longer to wake up nowadays. Here you are required to go ahead and put in your conflicts. That's something we don't want to make automated, because with setting up your conflicts, you need to know your controller, you need to know how it's wired to the field, and you also need to know the field configuration. So with those 3 things, the wizard really can't do it. So you are required to set up your conflicts and your permissives. Here it shows you that we've already set up the loads. So if you notice, we're not looking at 1 and 5 because we're not monitoring the red. So we make sure that we took care of that. Here, the dark channel 4 shows the PEDs. These other ones, as I said, are for future blank out signs, other stuff. But here, and it even tells you down here, the wizard went ahead and set it up for you. But if they didn't, you can come here and check it. Multiple inputs, if you notice, since we don't have red on 1 and 5, it took care of that for you. I'm going to minimize. Minimum flash, same thing. There is no 1 and 5, so it didn't take care of it, but it took care of everything else. Your load switches, I wanted to show you, see, it turned off the yellows because, of course, in the PED world, it's red, walk, and don't walk. So that's all taken care of you from the wizard. Here with the field check, same thing. If you notice, the reds are off here too. And then the rest are, in this case, there is no disabled yellow. We're not going to do any virtual, and we're not going to do any flash. So now the only thing you have to do is hit the right key to write it to the key, and now you have a key ready to go into the cabinet to run a 8-phase intersection with phase 1 and 5 protected permissive.